I spend way too much time watching photography YouTube, which is ironic because most photography YouTube has absolutely nothing to do with photography. It's become a strange world where people spend more time talking about cameras than making photographs. We have this endless cycle. A new camera gets announced. Every creator makes a first look, a hands-on, initial thoughts. 1 week later, 1 month later, a long-term review. Then another camera comes out. Wash, rinse, and repeat. The problem really is that it's all about incentive. Most creators aren't bad people. They're just following the incentive. Camera reviews get views. Wow, that should be a t-shirt or slogan somewhere because that works. Camera reviews get affiliate commissions from sales. Camera reviews get sponsorships. That's a biggie. Talking about composition, doesn't. And then we have the false promise. Every new camera is presented like, this changes everything. This is the camera I've been waiting for. This is my new favorite camera. And yet, 6 months later, they're saying the same thing about another camera. This sends a very dangerous message because viewers start to believe that a better camera equals better photos. It's actually rarely true. I find that different cameras make different photos. For example, I have an A7 IV, an A7C Mark II, a ZV-1, and a Ricoh GR4. All 4 of those cameras do different things. I have my A7 IV, which is the big full-featured camera, does basically anything I could ever want it to do. I have the A7C Mark II when I want something a little smaller, but still relatively full-featured and great image quality. And then I have the ZV-1, which I'm starting to phase out. I'm starting to like it less and less. For photos, it's a little more hard to use. Then I have the GR4, which is an APS-C size sensor. For a little tiny setup here, takes great photos. They all do different things. Does one make a better photograph than the other? Well, from an image quality standpoint, maybe slightly, but as far as actually, can I take better photographs with A versus B? Not necessarily. And I'm gonna say it again, just like I say in a lot of videos, most cameras and most lenses are better than most photographers. Here's the big problem. The question that a lot of people ask is, ooh, what did you take that photograph with? When the real question should be, what did you photograph with that camera? They want to know the dynamic range, how many frames per second, which don't even get me started on that one. That's a whole other video. I'm going to talk about that. How good is the autofocus? How good is the rolling shutter? These are things that nobody even really talked about just a few years ago. Now that is the be all end all. And if your camera doesn't have good all of those things, it's worthless all of a sudden, which is just insane to me. Here's the great irony. Some of the greatest photographs ever made were done on equipment that would be considered extraordinarily primitive today. Yet every day I see people that act like they cannot create at all without the latest gear. They believe that they must have that or it's not even worth going out to shoot. I'm constantly reminded of this, my wedding photography days. I was a wedding photographer for over 3 decades, and the digital gear that I used many, many years ago, like the original Canon 5D, this is one that stood out to me. I wish I still had that camera today. I had 2 of them. Wish I still had it. I won multiple awards with that camera, and I shot hundreds and hundreds of weddings with those cameras. And it was a 12 megapixel sensor, very basic camera, but it was magical. Okay. By today's standards, this thing was slow. The autofocus was meh. I think you had to use like the 5-point autofocus in it. And I used to just leave it on center point and just recompose. That was how the autofocus was. In low light, it was okay. You really didn't want to go past 400 or 800 ISO, period. So these cameras were junk according to today, yet I made hundreds of clients happy, produced competition works that are, well, actually at least 2 are in the PPA loan collection from that camera. I never had a client ask me what gear I used. I had guests ask, but a client never asked. Actually, in all of my years of photography, I think I've only been asked by clients maybe 2 times what kind of gear I used. But the point in all that is that even with those cameras, you can still produce great quality work. And yeah, I know ideas of what's quality have changed over time too, but I still believe that if I had the original 5D with some of the lenses that I had back then, I could still produce fantastic quality photographs. Here's some of the things that photography YouTube rarely shows. How to see light. how to recognize moments, how to tell stories, how to connect with your subject. This is a big one. I see a lot of people that are portrait photographers that don't even talk to the person that they're photographing. I mean, you're not going to get anywhere like that. It's all about the connection that you have with your subject. Now, sure, you could do the paparazzi style portraits and stuff like that. It's not the same thing, and you're not going to get the same kind of emotion and feeling and depth in that photo. It's a different kind of emotion and feeling and depth. It's not the same. And the biggest thing that photography YouTube never teaches is how to see a photograph before you take it. Usually it's bang down the shutter and get 50 frames off and hope that one of them's good. And I know this is not new. It's been like this for a long, long time. It's almost like there's two different kinds of photographers, or two parts to the photographer genre. There's photographers that actually use the gear to create photographs, and there's photographers that basically all they do is spec gear all day long. They test it. They make sure that this lens is sharper than that one, and they just do all these tests and never really take meaningful photographs. Now, if that makes you happy, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but that's not really what photography was intended to be. In recent months, I've gotten back into photography. And of course, now here in Central Florida, it's hot as hell outside, so I haven't been doing it quite as much. But I started out playing with my A7C Mark II, and I started walking around downtown, and it felt so good. I spent a couple hours one night just walking around taking photographs of random things. We can call it street photography. I don't get into strict definitions, but that's generally what it was. You can even call it journalistic style or documentary photography if you want. And then I tried it with the Sony ZV-1, which is a little tiny pocket camera, and the experience was okay. It was pretty good. I don't think that's as good of a photography camera for my hands and my style as I would have liked it to be. And then I had an epiphany. I broke down and I bought the Ricoh GR4. Honestly, best camera I've used in a long time. Not because it's a great camera. It's an expensive point-and-shoot camera, probably too expensive for what it is. I'd call it a treat to myself, you might say. But it fits in a pocket. It's super unobtrusive. People don't even notice you holding it, and they just think, oh, it's just a point-and-shoot. What could it be? But this thing has an APS-C size sensor that takes phenomenally good photographs for what it is. The autofocus is sometimes not so great, but I use center point autofocus just like back in the old days, and I get great photographs with it. It's been a game changer for me, and I don't say that lightly. It's rare for me to find a camera that is that amazing for me. Like the A7C Mark II. I got it after having an A7 IV that I use primarily for video, and I was kind of, well, a little disappointed with it for a long time. It's only recently that I'm saying, yeah, I actually really like that camera. It does a lot of the things I want. I had to fine-tune that thing so much, though, to get it to do what I wanted it to do, that it kind of was a pain. And it's only recently, literally in the last few weeks, that I got it to do all the things I want. I might do a video on that. So the truth about photography YouTube is that it's really not about photography at all. It's about consumerism. It's about convincing people that are into photography that they need something else. I'm trying really hard on this channel to not make it about consumerism, to try to explain things that maybe look at it from a different perspective, maybe think like a photographer, maybe explore what you already have rather than always looking for that next best lens or that next best camera. If you are a professional, you already know this, because most pros that I know aren't always looking for the next best camera. They're looking for the camera that will make them money now. And if the next camera that comes out offers features that make them more money, that's why they will purchase it, not just because it's newer, better, faster. So where am I going with all this? Watch camera reviews if you like them. I do it all the time. I just don't mistake shopping for photography. At some point, I realized I was spending more time researching cameras than taking photos. And that's when I realized that photography YouTube had won. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.